Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the study session of June 17, 2025. It's going to be about the BS&A software, cloud software. Council Chair will not be with us today, Council Chair Baidoon, where he has a pre-planned trip that he's getting ready for. And I think Councilman Wenzel, he's not going to be with us. I'm not sure about.
Denise has a dentist appointment.
Councilwoman has a dentist appointment, and hopefully Bob will show up. Without any further ado, Director, you have the floor.
Is there any comments?
Well, no, you start first, present, and we'll move to comments after.
I just wasn't sure if they get the normal.
Well, they need to listen first before they have comments.
All right, so I want to take this time to discuss, first of all, what BS&A is to the city and why we are potentially looking at this for a future endeavor of the city. I just want to do a little background. This is something that I have been looking at for a good couple months now. This isn't just something where we said, hey, 2 weeks ago. It has been going on. It was going on during all the budget hearings, but we didn't have any kind of numbers to be able to present to you to kind of say, hey, this is some of the potential costs of it. I just want to say I do have Dominic from BS&A. He is here to be able to answer potentially any questions I might not be able to answer, and he is going to have a colleague join on where if we actually wanted to potentially show a demo of this too with it, because we don't have the access to it, they'd have to show it through the Zoom. Okay? Dominic, I just want to make sure, Dominic, can you hear us and can you respond?
I think, Madam Clerk,
I just want to make sure Dominic can.
BS&A.
Yeah, he does.
He thumbs up. Okay.
Thumbs up.
I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure he can respond, and that's all. All right, so BS&A software, that is our bread and butter software for the general government aspect. To kind of break this down, I've got a list of everything we kind of go through, and BS&A kind of groups their application together, and we use what's called the .NET applications right now. For anyone that might know, .NET is a little bit of an older programming language. This has been around for quite a while. So in the financial management, we currently use their general ledger, their accounts payable, their cash receipting, their accounts receivable and fixed assets. Different users throughout the city have different access to this, but it's crucial to get our job done. One of the big ones too is utility billing. This is our water bills. This is what helps manage all those water bills in the city. Building department, and also with building department is field inspection. Field inspection is a smaller I don't want to say it's a smaller program, but it's a program that our ordinance officers and our inspectors can use to give them offline access. Okay, and then potentially when they come back in, they can dock their computers and sync their information. We also use business license, animal license, and then property we use assessing, huge one. That is like the foundation of all our knowledge, in the city of all of our different properties. Tax and delinquent personal property. Just recently, among the last comptroller, we stopped using purchase orders. It was just decided that we weren't using enough to continue the payment for it. So we did have one more in there. And there are other aspects of BS&A that we don't use right now that they do offer. These are just the current ones. And to kind of put in perspective, our current costs right now are roughly about $60,000 a year for this. To kind of, again, give a little understanding is we have a BS&A server here at City Hall. It's basically a database with all this information. Each one of those applications have a different database, and they kind of talk to each other. They don't directly talk with each other. It's not one integrated database, but we want them to be able to talk to each other in a thorough manner. I'll say that. A lot of our staff will have each of those .NET, a lot of those .NET programs open on their computer, all running, and as they're trying to do their job and they're trying to help the residents, they potentially be bouncing back and forth between those .NET programs, and sometimes have that exact same .NET program open multiple times on their computers. okay? We have to secure the data here in the city, okay? If you kind of remember getting the access to the city council members that wanted access to this, to have access to the .NET applications off-site, you need to have a VPN. That VPN allows your computer to speak to our network and then has to have the connection. That connection, because it's a .NET, is never the greatest. Kind of what happens is we have our server that is an SQL database. Your individual computer has an SQL database, and they're trying to sync back and forth to each other. You don't have a high-end internet connection. It makes it very difficult. It's not like a database of, I'll say, of a web page. Okay, it's a little bit different how it's constantly trying to write back and forth, and also then it's also trying to retrieve information, PDFs, images off of our server. When you try to get access offsite, it's not the greatest in the world. And then even the field inspection, even though it's designed to be offline, still does not work the greatest. Okay? So I know BS&A, this is actually directly from BS&A to kind of give an idea of where they're at. They went to the cloud quite a while. They've been working and slowly moving more and more of their applications to the cloud, where their cloud application would provide more efficient operations, available anytime. Now it's a cloud, so now it would be a single website, okay? And all of these databases would be one database, okay? That is huge in just the speed of finding information and providing information to our clerks, to all of our staff to better help the residents. Cloud, it is the more the cutting edge technology. It is just the manner in which everything is moving towards. Having the individual, application on your computer is just, it's just going away because of the speed of the internet. That can help with that. The robust security that they help provide. We do provide a lot of our own security, but now we would be potentially passing some of that security onto them with securing our data. And I'm going to talk about security in just a little bit with this. And then the biggest one is the usability and experience. They put that post, this is some, again, like I said, it's information from them. The other week, I was literally in a Wayne County Technology Directors meeting. Of course, BS&A, came up, and a lot of surrounding cities are moving to the cloud right now. So the biggest question was, what's one of the biggest hiccups that you have with it? And it's not necessarily that the interface was difficult, it's just different. A lot of people don't like change. So now what some of our staff are used to visually seeing, okay, would look different, and the process of doing portions of their job would potentially change with this. But, as I'm going to talk about, that actually can be a good thing. Again, to kind of wrap up with what not to wrap up, to kind of summarize, and again, it is a single database that they provide. There's no more every single application with their own database, the computers having their database, and trying to get everything to sync together. The global records for us would be, through their demonstrations, would be immense. If we're trying to help a resident and we need to find some information, first we got to make sure that our staff has the proper permissions for it. They got to know where to find that information at is into it. Now that we'd potentially going cloud-based with it, it'd be much easier because they could type an address, parcel number into it, and would get all the information all in one shot instead of trying to find information here and there. So we're trying to help our staff better help the residents. Okay, workspaces. Right now, the .NET application, it is what it is. You see what you see. There's no change to it. With going to the cloud and an updated interface, the next couple with the workspace and the dashboard, now it kind of lets each user be able to configure what they deem is important for their job to best do their job. Okay, not letting someone else kind of determine that. Real-time communications. We get to now. Now imagine our ordinance officer, our building inspector is out doing something. Let's say just an inspector. They fail an inspection. When they would potentially click that button that they would fail an inspection, our clerks back here would be able to potentially get notified, and we would know right away. There is no waiting to the end of the day that anything syncs up. All that information is available to you in real time, okay? And again, because it's cloud-based, web-based, the communications, notifications would all can happen instantly. Where I see one of the biggest aspects is the workflow services. This is just me and the way that my mind works, where now we get to put everything together into the BS&A application. Instead of having potential paper workflows, a separate application workflow, okay, approval process, it's all now happening in BS&A to make sure things are getting done. And big one, the proper people are getting notified when something happens. Again, I'm just going to use it because it's fresh in my mind. Building departments, let's say they approve a permit. Whoever we determine would need to get notified that a permit is approved or whatnot. We get to set up that workflow with it and notify the correct people. Okay, so nothing's kind of getting lost in the shuffle, to say. All right. This slide I kind of just put together just to kind of show, breaking that down a little bit there, where we would be able to have the synchronized data across all the place. There's no more downloads. There's no more updates that we need to manually go through. It's all happened instantly through all of it with the code enforcements, inspections, and whatnot. Top right, enhanced GIS. This is very big in our city right now. Kim would probably be the best one to talk about the GIS. It's our maps. Okay. Not only do we know we need the maps, but as I've looked and worked with different departments, we're looking at different applications that can handle and allow us to read all of our maps, our GIS data. Applications we have to pay for. With this, BS&A, Dominic actually just confirmed, we actually can put not only our basic maps in there, parcel numbers, but we can put what's called layers on top of that, and we can allow our building department, okay, our water department, our highway, who greatly use GIS data, all that now to be available to them in one application. Instead of us looking, right now, our DPW, they use an application, look at their maps, that hasn't been updated for 3-4 years. It is extremely hard to maintain. Everybody's got to have a copy of that data on each of their computers, and that just creates a mess in this day and age. By being able to upload our GIS data, all this have a common user interface, now we're actually passing information off to GIS. The assessor did a great job of an example is let's say there's a fire inspection, okay? And she indicated there was a change of an ownership of a property in there. That fire inspector would be able to potentially have access to that, and that would change their investigations because there's a property change. Just a simple example of why that data is more. And if you ask each of the individual directors that deal with the GIS, they would probably come through and give you far more examples than I can. But the GIS information is important to have a single, what's that?
10,000 examples.
10,000 examples. To have a single repository of all that information is needed, and it is greatly missing in this city. Okay? The report.
Sorry, Director.
Yep.
I don't want to cut you off, but
No, perfectly fine.
standing at the GIS, I mean, how come we can't do it right now? How come we cannot have all this information? I know it's separate, probably database, but
Well, first of all, I know we've had the position posted for a GIS coordinator to update information. We're talking internally about how we can get that, but we also have to pay for, what's called the viewer of that. Having this all now in one spot and having multiple layers all in one stationary location, that will help. So again, if she potentially makes a change, everyone sees that. Potentially, as of right now, just the way the programs are, she makes a change, no one else sees that. Okay? So we get to go through, with this, we would be able to go through and again, have that one location, everybody has access to the exact same data. If, one department does not care about where fire hydrants are located, they don't need to turn on that layer of information.
who's going to be responsible for uploading this information?
That's as we look at this, that's the stuff that we'll start to discuss. When I talked about how we would potentially change, that's something that we'd have to eventually talk about and discuss how that's going to happen, how that occurs. Okay? All right? The report designer, I think a great example was the treasurer. It was kind of funny one day as I was in the middle of this. She contacted the BS&A, said she wanted a report, and basically they said, you can't do it in the .NET applications, but you could do it in the cloud. It's just not designed because she wanted some complicated, complex data and transformation of the report that would allow that, just not in the .NET because it's all the separate data there. The report designer in .NET, if you don't have a background in that, you're not gonna, it's difficult even for me to go through and create those reports. I have created a couple of reports in there, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. The interface for the report designer now in the cloud, because they've, again, updated the whole entire, started fresh with it, it's more user-friendly if we want our own custom report in there. And then again, alerts, reminders, we get to go through and set our notifications up for ourselves. Again, trying to update and change how we're doing the things in the city. That would be a big part of it. Part of it, we get to set up automated reports. Right now, we got to manually, the reports we do have, we have to manually go in, create the reports. Now we've got to get it up, say, hey, the first of every month, we want this report automatically generated. I want so-and-so notified, and we would be able to go through and do that. My area now of really trying to get this is understanding the security, because part of my job is protecting the data of the city. We have millions of dollars that go through our BS&A applications. That would not change, and I need to make sure that data is protected. So reaching out to them and getting information about how we can secure the data, because we would hand our data from our local server here to them. Okay, the fact that they are saying that they can prove that they are meeting the NIST cybersecurity framework. For those who don't know, NIST security standards, that is the top. Okay, if they got the documentation to show that they proved it, then our data is in good hands, with it. I also wanted to verify, even though we passed our data off them, we still own the data. It is 100% ours. They can't do anything with it. They cannot sell it. Only they can't access it unless it is to provide us support with it. BS&A would potentially manage any outages that they have. They would be putting their data is housed in Microsoft Azure. That's their cloud servers and whatnot. But they now would handle the outages and would report it back to us if there's any potential downtime. We would get notified if there's any outages, expected repairs that they might have to do through emails. We can always check the portal. Everything that I do right now, even for like our Microsoft products, Adobe products, if there's outages, I've got ways to go through and check it, and I've got direct communication with people to say, hey, what's our status with this? And again, them telling me that the data is both encrypted at rest and in transit is critical. They wouldn't be able to do this right now to meet the standards they need to meet if they couldn't prove that they were doing this. So I'm relaying all this information to say our data is still protected in their hands. Okay. And again, the cyber liability, to make sure, again, we're protecting ourselves. The vendor's responsible, that's BS&A, they're responsible for securing the systems, the data. It is our responsibility to make sure we have proper user access. We are taking care of our own users. Usually in the cybersecurity world, if you don't know, the weakest link is us humans, okay? And it would be our responsibility to take care of that, okay? All right, big deal, costs. Costs are broken up into annual and one-time costs. All right. So right now, to start off with the one-time cost, implementation and training. That is setting up users, configuring settings, setting applications, workflows, on-site verification of the converted data. That means BS&A is here to make sure everything is going good, and training. I've said it before, I'm gonna say it now. This is our catalyst to potentially update and change how we do things in the city. As I've been here a little over 3 years now, and part of my job is going to every single department and trying to figure out what they're doing, how we can become more efficient, how we can streamline, how we can innovate what they are doing. It's hard to get departments to change. Why? Because number one answer I get is, that's how we've always done it. We would be able to take this time, because BS&A is what everyone uses to say, hey, that's no longer an answer. This is an opportunity to change the workflow, how we do things, to become more of a modern workflow to better serve our residents. Okay? To provide those notifications, there's no potential chance that we've got some business license money coming in and it's not properly identified and notified into another application. Two separate applications, now it becomes one. Okay? This is going to take time. It is going to take a lot of work, but it is something that we need in this city to move us forward. Okay? To kind of break that down, what BS&A in their quote to us has identified is amongst the different applications, 11 setup days where they're going in, they're doing what they do, what they've done for numerous cities, not only in the state of Michigan, but throughout the country. Okay? And then potentially 54 days of training. That training can occur face-to-face or virtual. Okay? If this is something we move forward with, excuse me.
Are they based in Michigan?
Yes, right, Bath, Michigan, Lansing.
The company?
Yep. If this is something we decide to move forward with, okay, we would then sit down and be able to say, all right, this is how many days we truly think we need. This is the high end of potential numbers of training. I want to say that because we do pay per day of training. If there is any training that could potentially happen virtually, we could take advantage of that and help reduce our costs. All right, so the quoted cost from BS&A right now, okay, broken up into their categories. One-time costs, community development, financial management, property, utility billing. They also have a project management fee and an estimated travel expense for them to come down here. Again, trying to put in perspective, they come down here, they're not traveling back and forth between Lansing here every single day. They're down here for 3-4 days of training. They're here. We've got to pay for that. So that's why virtual training, in some aspects, might be better for us. Okay? And you see the cost there, $172,740 in potential one-time costs, high end. Our annual fees now, okay? If you remember before I talked about, it's roughly about $60,000 that comes out of general fund, boom, every year. Okay? Now moving to the cloud, modern interface, modern development, we take our cost to $175,650 per year. There is a cost to it, okay? I'll just say we're looking at this as being able to invest into us, okay, to better help the residents. You've talked about wanting to invest in technology. This is a great example to be able to help that because there's pretty much not a department that does not use BS&A. All right? To break this down a little bit, okay, on how it goes to the budget. We know we got our budget just recently approved. So both Monty and Mariana have gone through the budget and said, hey, okay, and I'm going to say this now, this is something they can speak better to more with it. But I'll go through it. If you got any questions, they would be able to answer those questions.
Thank you, Director. Do you have any questions about the software before we move on to the budget items?
The page we just saw, are we talking 350,000 versus 60,000?
The 172, the one-time cost, that's treating information, never have to pay that again. The 175,650 would be a yearly cost. So that's the one to better actually to compare it to that 60,000.
150,000 more a year. Well, 115,000.
100, yeah, about. I'm gonna break that down a little bit more. I got something more on that as we
So it's
go
about
through.
175 a year, but the one-time cost to start, it's a 172,
Yeah, we got
172
that
for
Yep.
first year.
100%.
Director, I know you mentioned stuff about security. We're going to have more security with them. So we're passing whatever you're doing here to them. Are we going to be saving money and whatever we used to secure over here, or?
With that server, yes, we would. Yes, we would.
Okay, that's good. I have another question. Right now, if we don't have internet, are they still able to use the software? In
If you don't have internet, no, you would not.
They're not. Okay. For the inspectors with the building department, all their ordinance, do they have internet on their tablets right now?
So they have their phones, they have hotspots, and their tablets could connect to their phones to give them internet, yes.
Okay, so if figure we go with this cloud software, are they able to update
Yes.
everything on their
Yep.
tablet with
Yes. We attempted to try that that's why we with the phones with them. But again, because the SQL database and that communication, it was the internet connection that a hotspot provides was not fast because there's it's called jitter. There's constant communication back and forth with the databases. With the cloud application, it's going to be like they're just going to a website.
So with this, you're saying that we're going to have better communication figure between building department, ordinance, and maybe the clerk's office, especially with those business licenses that.
This is the opportunity to have that, yes, sir.
So basically, if everything passes, they have a CFO, the clerk would be notified before.
We can set that up,
Before she
yes.
can issue that business license. Any idea when this contract will be up? The one we have right now?
So we just paid in May.
Okay,
For the next 12 months of it. If we ever had to pay anything for the .NET, our rate would get prorated in the next cost.
okay.
Okay? So I'm gonna talk about the start dates and everything, because this is not happening tomorrow. Okay, this is not happening next week. I'll be honest, it's not happening 2025.
Okay.
All right? Because there's immense amount of planning and work to do with this. Now, I plan on talking about that. I'm not there yet.
Council members, any more questions? Councilman?
When a user signs on, do they have to sign in similar to when somebody signs on the lien? So we know somebody's not going in there and putting, taxes for Joe Smith were paid in full when they weren't.
Okay, so this is BS&A Cloud. This BS&A Online is for the residents. BS&A Cloud is for staff members.
Right.
Okay?
Right, but-
Is there records that BS&A Cloud for our own staff can check if they make changes? Just like now, we can go through and do what's called audit logs and find everything out that they're doing. What's happening in BS&A Online, if a resident goes in, declares that they're the owner of a property and wants to pay someone else's taxes or water bill, you can't do anything about that.
I'm talking about staff, though.
Yes, they're just like now, there's audit logs that we would be able to change to check to say, hey, John Doe made a change on this parcel number, this resident, yes, we can go in and check that.
And a very secure sign-in procedure?
All the users would potentially sync to our Microsoft accounts, which it's called single sign-on, and because of multi-factor, yes. Multi-factor is a requirement.
Thank you.
Also, Councilman. So Director, you're telling me right now, somebody in the clerk's office can go in assessment and change the assessment of the property?
Now, so we have control. I can give a user whether they're edit access, view only access,
That's limited,
and
basically,
whatnot.
it's limited to the department then?
No, because if they logged onto the computer and tried to access it, no, they would not.
Then I
They-
understand to change something, like only the
The
assessment.
assessors are the only ones that have access to edit.
Correct, that's what I'm saying, like every department, whatever they work with, they have access to whatever stuff
Yep.
they need to
Yep.
change. Okay.
Yep. And in a department too, different users have different levels of access too.
Okay.
Okay? So,
All right, we
All
can
right.
move on then.
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mahdi.
So, if you guys would go, this is more for you guys now. Okay? So, again, they went through into the budget, again, that you guys have recently approved and said, hey, where is there potential some wiggle room to be able to find some of this money? We'll go through, I'll go through and I'll talk about it. Marty, if you got any questions, Marty can answer the questions. I want to show you basically where we're potentially taking, some money. This has been reported to all the directors. Just last week, we had a meeting to kind of say, hey, this is what we're looking at and everything with it. And then I'll talk about how that money and how it all adds up. Let me say that, okay? So they identified in the district court, the contractual service and repair and maintenance budget, each line taking $10,000 away from each of those.
I mean, with district court, already we have enough issues. I think we need more money. I think this is a big no-no right here. Yeah.
Again, this is what's been identified. We can always revisit.
No, I understand, but this is, I think, this item is probably a big no-no, because we're already short money with the district court. We can move on.
Okay?
Courts always give money.
Can you provide those,
Yeah, definitely. I literally was working on this up in about a half hour before we started here, and I'll definitely share
No,
this, get it, so it's actually on
I understand,
the
yeah.
civic clerk, so the residents can have it too. In the general government, supplies, $10,000, professional, is that contracted services? Contracted services, $5,000. Contractual services, they had 2 line items there, $3,000, and then city-owned property, $15,000.
what's a city-owned property, Mahdi?
So, for the city-owned property, that covers both the acquisition of city properties as well as the current maintenance of city properties. Any other questions regarding that?
We're going to talk about how you identified them, how you identified these accounts.
Okay. So, I'm not gonna lie to you, the budget is very slim. And I understand your concern with like some of the repairs and maintenance and the contractual services. But to give you some background about the district court as well as the police repairs and maintenance, they were added as a budget on top of the building maintenance repairs and maintenance. So altogether, you have a lot of money to do repairs. It's just that they were divided up amongst those 3 accounts. So in reality, although
I thought court had their own,
that's what I'm saying, court was given their own, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm just letting you know that police also has a repairs and maintenance which covers the building. So if an invoice comes in for that building, it's 33% court, 66% police. So although you're taking some money from repairs and maintenance for the district court, there is money in repairs and maintenance in the police department as well as some in building maintenance repairs and maintenance to assist. Now, the issue we do have, as you're well aware, is that this is a very slim budget. So some of in the accounts like repairs and maintenance and contractual services are line items that you can somewhat push off into another fiscal year to accommodate for the cost that you have to incur initially. That's the reason why we selected those accounts mainly, is because a lot of the accounts that you see in the budget are set, and it's very hard to limit or reduce that kind of spending.
if you remember, if you're going back to the court, they wanted to change the carpet, and we didn't have money to give them to change the carpet.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, so I don't know how we're gonna take some more money off them, and
No, I completely agree with you, Councilman Ahmad. Now, if you would like us to revisit some of these items and say, okay, can you try removing it from somewhere else and not remove it from this account? We'll be more than happy to accommodate that request. But just a heads up, it is a very slim budget, so we're gonna, instead of taking like 10,000 out of one account, we'll take 500, 1,000, 1,500, and have a lot more agenda items. As you also know, it's a fluid budget, so if we get to May 2026 or June 2026, and they're running low on the budget, we can try finding other areas to replenish that account that we removed from right now. It's just with our kind of study, these are the accounts that would give us the best ability to afford the BS&A transition.
I mean, I'm hoping Dominic is listening right now, and he knows we're on a very slim budget, and hopefully there's something they could do about at least startup fees. I mean, it's kind of up there, you know what I mean?
Completely understand, and I'm going to talk about that too.
I mean, you
with the
know me,
quotes.
Director, I'm all about moving the city forward, having more technology in the city, but to do so, we need the money. I mean, I would love to have this today before tomorrow, but if I don't have the money, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, let's go ahead and
I
do it.
will say this, because although he's the IT director, I can speak on this as well. As you're aware, certain applications throughout the IT world, they stop updates and they stop support. If you continue using the .NET application and saving the $100,000 a year right now, you're going to be spending an extra $200 to $250 a year in annual cost.
Matthew, you don't need to convince me. I'm all about this.
Yeah.
I'm all about moving the city forward and having those departments working together, to be
Yes.
honest with you. I mean, I know it will be better for the residents
Yeah.
to serve the residents, but right now, we're in a mess. We don't have the money. So if you bring me the money today, I'll pass it next week.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to show, hey, this is what we looked at. This is what was identified. Let's go through this. This doesn't have to say this is it. This is where all the money is going to come from. We just wanted to present this to you.
Okay.
This is our initial
No, I
ideas.
appreciate that, but I mean, if we
Okay.
can dig further, if there's some other ways, I don't know, maybe state grant or something, or anything we can look into.
There is again at that meeting I talked about. I was with Wayne County Tech Directors. Some directors said that they were able to find small grants, not large ones, to be able to help, offset the cost. But I'm going to talk about potentially how we can offset the cost and everything too.
Okay.
Okay? Again, this is just us presenting the information to you.
No, this is great. This is great, Bob.
Okay.
Just
Yep.
issues.
Trust me, we completely understand.
I mean, I would love to have Councilman Saab's car, but I don't have the money to get it, but
That's right.
it
All
won't.
right, so to kind of just go through, we already went through the general government funds and everything right there. What was also identified was in the corporation council fundings in the salaries, $5,000 there just in the salaries. And building and maintenance, motor fuel, repair and maintenance equipment, $5,000 each out of those. In the police department, contractual services, $10,000, motor fuel, $5,000, repair and maintenance, again, $10,000.
Director, contractual services, we were just at a presentation here a few weeks ago. They're looking for money for the Axon program and everything else. I mean, us cutting that is only putting other services that we're having study sessions for backwards.
Again, we're presented to you. This is just what was identified right now. That's all. Okay?
I think Mehdi needs to dig further. Hopefully, we can find something. Or maybe, like I said, something somewhere.
I mean, honestly, like Councilwoman Nancy Breyer said, maybe we should sell the properties
The city
first and then,
Well, this is not going to take, Councilman, it's not going to take.
Keep in mind
like I
that the
said, it's just
city-owned properties, we are budgeting $1.5 million of revenue already in this fiscal year. It is a conservative estimate, so possibly it becomes more, but we want to be conservative with our revenues because we do not want to inflate them. Councilman Saab, we do understand, like we said before, your concerns with removing money out of certain budgets. We just feel like those budgets are the most capable of being fluid and not a set. I could possibly remove $500 here, $500 there, but we'd be removing about 50 to 60 GL numbers then, and it'll be very tedious to do that. I could do that if you guys want to move forward with certain items. If you want to highlight them and tell me, hey, don't remove it out of this account, please find a different account, I'll be more than happy to do that for you guys.
Director, can you go back to BS&A personnel and see if there's something they can help with too? Like, tell them, I mean, we're not the greatest.
This is version 3 of their, I've already, trust me, this is not the first quote that they gave us. We're on version 3 of it and everything, working with it. Again, we are at the point where we wanted to be able to present this to you, saying, hey, this is something we're working on. You guys have asked for that, and this is us telling you this is what we're working on and everything with it right now. Okay? Just to make sure that you're aware of, and it's not coming out of the blue where all of a sudden it's in one of the meetings for you to do an action item.
Council Chair.
Okay?
Matty, what about money from the MMRMA, the surplus, if any? I know we've had a lot of lawsuits, but any money coming back from MMRMA?
This year, we do not have anything budgeted for the MMRMA reimbursement, but Mariana can speak more about that because she's
It's like
the
we'll be paying
representative for
into
that.
it.
We're still waiting on the final work for the renewal, but we are going to be getting about $770,000 back. But as you recall, we have two options of what to do with the money, to either take it or to put it back into our MMRMA balance. And at this point, it is recommended by MMRMA for us to put it back into the MMRMA balance. So that's why we didn't budget for a revenue this fiscal year, like we have in the past for that money, because we have been taking it out for the past 3 years. And it's time to replenish our account.
Understood.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ordinance, the animal control contractual services, $3,000. Recreation Department, utilities, $20,000. Again, contractual services, $5,000. Oh, go ahead.
Just so you're aware, for the Recreation Department, the reason why we're reducing it by $20,000 for the utilities is because the splash pad at the Van Houten Park is not active anymore, which accounts for the majority of the utility bills.
So as it currently stands, what that would do is give us $131,000 to reallocate to potential costs. Okay? From the quote that we have, initial payments Okay, so I went to them, we all know it's a lot of money. So one of the first things I did was like, hey, can we potentially spread that cost out over 2 fiscal years, that $170,000 one-time cost with it? So they came back to us and said, hey, in July 2025, give us a payment of $58,935 in July, the $175,650 when we go live, because again, that's that annual cost, okay? And then $113,000 in July of 2026 to handle, again, that one-time cost with us. So we could potentially take that and pass it over 2 fiscal years, okay?
Okay, but, so is the contract from May to May every year, or is it July to July?
So right now, all of our different BS&A applications, it's actually multiple contracts, because every application is its own contract. It's whenever it was implemented in the city. The way we look at it now is, now we would whenever we go live with it,
Combine them all.
that's when it would renew and start to move forward with it.
The only concern about this, I understand, we'll have a payment in July of 2026, but at the same time, we're going to have a payment for 2026.
I'm getting there. Trust me, we're on the same page with this. This is why we went this.
Okay.
So, initially, we were looking, when we first went this, we were looking at trying to go live April 2026. Again, I'm in that directors meeting with directors from Wayne County, literally sitting right next to me, 2 different cities that just confirmed, just signed up, they're going live in April 2026. Why are they choosing April 2000? Why are they choosing April? Avoid taxes. Okay, they don't want to do this transition in the middle of taxes. So we would potentially, again, we get to move forward with this, we would potentially look at August 2026. That would give us all this time, okay, to make those fundamental changes, to get that revenue, get the funding for all this. Does not affect the 2 July payments, okay? But like you just said, hey, now we've got that $113,805 payment in 2026 budget, and we've got that $175,000 payment in there. So the way I was looking at it is saying, hey, if we can pull back that $113,000 payment, actually get some of that, more of that into this fiscal year, because now we're not making that $175,000 payment in this fiscal year, just that $60,000 that I already have budgeted, that's already approved for BS&A. Okay, now we would just kind of spread that money a little bit differently than the initial contract. I didn't want to go to BS&A. This is actually the first time Dominic is seeing this, and we're talking about this, is potentially how we could do this with going with the August 2026. Okay, and the way I look at this is most training would occur in this fiscal year, okay? Even if we go live in August 2026, almost all of our training happens this fiscal year. So if we could take that one-time payments in this fiscal year, and that new annual payment doesn't start in the next fiscal year, now we are kind of spreading that cost out a little bit differently there, okay?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
The annual cost, are they going to change yearly? Will they keep going up?
You can always pretty much count it's always going to go up. Every year, BS&A payment has gone up. Every software, everything goes up.
There's no guarantee or no time limit that we could lock in?
That is something I could definitely go back to them and say, hey, can we lock in the same pricing for X number of years?
Is it a yearly contract we have to renew every year, or is it?
Yes.
So I understand what you're trying to do, Director, but the thing is, what happens between May and August? Do you have to pay for those 3 months separately?
Is there any interest?
Paying .net.
Remember, if I pay May for .net, they will prorate that cost. Whatever we paid for .net gets applied towards that $175,650.
Any idea how much is the proration?
Let's say take that $60,000, if it still costs $60,000, divide that by 12, however many months in .net, the remaining months.
So whatever months you used?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So again, rethinking how we can actually pay for this. Again, Marty kind of mentioned it before, the .net application, it's dead. They're not gonna be updated anymore. They provide the bare minimum security updates for it, what is really needed. Again, I know it's this is a lot of money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. it's only going to get more expensive. This is just their big recommendation. We're doing this. We're getting more cities. Again, I'm in the meeting with 25 different tech directors. 6 of them are already on it. 2 of them sitting right next to me already moved towards it. It's only going to get more expensive if we wait on it. And we kind of have this. It's just the proof of what is it? Things get more expensive. And if we wait too long and they say now you want to keep on using BS&A, okay, application. When they know that we have to do it, what do you think is going to happen to the cost? They're a company. They need to make money and everything too. So to try to help with this a little bit, again, trying to think outside the box, as a whole, we're coming together for this. So those annual fees of that $175,650, okay? I've got highlighted there, utility billing. What is utility billing? Water. Okay? So if we take that cost of utility billing, $33,948.85, and we use the water fund that has the money, this does not increase the cost for them. We have money there, okay, for it. And we say, hey, let's put that to the water fund, okay? That now for general funds brings our cost down to $141,000. Still a big number, but it's $33,000 less.
But if you use it from the general funds, we have to pay it back. I mean, from the water fund.
No.
So we can use it? Okay.
Yep. Okay, because it's for water.
Okay.
All right? So if you look at this, okay, utility billing is roughly 19% of our annual cost. So remember that 19% there. So now we got the one-time cost. Again, utility billing and that one-time cost right now estimated at $21,600. So that one-time cost of $172,000 comes down to $151,140. Okay, because again, we're using the water utility for that. All right. Remember, I said 19%. Okay, so 19% of the project management and the potential travel expenses is $18,310.87. Okay, we take that from it. So now that one-time cost from general funds is $132,829.13. Okay. So we're potentially reducing what we're really taking from our general funds because we got that water utility funds that can be in doing it. I'm trying to think of the word for it. Doing it appropriately, the 19% helps reduce the money on.
So the 19% you getting that from the water fund too?
Yes. Yeah, that's why. So instead of the $172,740, that's why when we look at those potential budget amendments, it only really added up to about $131,000. Okay, because we're looking at using water utilities to pay for a portion of this. And I wanted to kind of where our reasoning and our math came from. I wanted to be able to show that there and why that's there. Because my mind would have said, hey, you just reallocated $131,000, but the bill's $172,000. Where's that money? I wanted to show that to you.
Council Chair.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Marty, will it save us money in billing and water billing and so forth?
In terms of like operating costs, like
Yes.
labor? Yes, it is. Now, I will say this, it's kind of one of those catch-22s because although it'll save us, then, like, let's say we can reduce an employee, you're technically taking an employee's job away. So we really don't want to do that. But in terms of operating efficiency and the use of the system, the utility billing software is going to be a lot more robust and allow us to do a lot more efficient operations in the water department and basically get back on track with, like, water billing.
Yeah, I get a call every day almost from a
Trust me, I
resident
get about 10 notes, sticky notes a day on my desk.
4 months instead of,
Yeah.
6 months instead of 2 months.
So by July 2026, we should be approaching the near end of our water meter exchange replacement program. And we actually have the top of the line gateways, which auto read meters. Which means that the whole meter reading system is going to be a lot more efficient and productive.
Council,
Thank you.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Pro Tem. In following up to Councilman Constance's question, will this overall help us make money?
The BS&A application, I wouldn't not say it makes us money, but it makes our worker productivity much higher. So essentially, what an employee does in an hour or two can be reduced by an hour or half an hour because of the ability for the applications to talk to each other, as well as the workflow within each individual application is going to be a lot more smoother than the .NET applications. So you're going to get a lot more out of each employee in terms of productivity when you move into this type of application.
In light of the training also that the employees will need to get up to speed, to learn it?
Yep.
right?
So the part of this 133,000 is a high-end estimate for training costs, as Director Cooper said. You can reduce it drastically by doing online training, but of course we do need some days where BS&A employees are on site, because some employees are much more adept to having somebody train them one-on-one, and some employees can do the Zoom meetings when you're looking at those kind of applications.
So what's the plan? Are we all set?
Yes, sir. Thank
So what's the plan? Are we training all the employees, or we're training somebody in each department and?
He has that plan.
Yep, and that's where, again, that August 2026, timeline, that allows us to fully develop that plan. Do we have that plan in place in here right now? No, because that's going to take a lot to go through.
I know, but that plan's gonna reflect the invoice though, whatever plan you put into.
No matter what, it's in that fiscal year.
No, I understand, but I mean, it depends on what kind of training we'll have. It's gonna reflect the invoice that we have in front of us.
So what Director Cooper was saying, and I asked him the same question that you asked him right now. I asked him, well, what if we cut that training time by half because we train certain people and those people train their staff? He was like, look, we can possibly do that, but we have to present to council a high-end, worst-case scenario of what the training is going to be.
Okay, that sounds good.
Can somebody train me on accounts payable and then I train my staff instead of having 4 people trying to train?
Right.
Yes. But that's something that we have to game plan and prepare for. And Director Cooper, myself, the Chief of Staff, as well as input from the City Council if needed, we can come up with a game plan of how to train as effectively as possible to minimize the cost that we incur in travel costs as well as overall training costs.
Okay, thank you, Mehdi. I like that. My question to you, Mehdi, I know you cut from different department. How come you didn't cut anything from the IT department?
That's a question that
I'm already paying for it already.
is that a serious question or kind of like
I mean, you couldn't find anything there.
Whatever way.
Are we, any more questions, anyone? Okay, are we all set, or?
if you guys have any more
Good.
questions regarding the
I'm gonna,
Do you have any questions for Dominic from BS&A, because he is here?
I mean, Dominic, I don't have any questions, but I have, please, if there's something you could do, I mean, the city is not in the best shape right now, and if anything you guys can help us with, we would really appreciate it. I know you guys, I know, he told me, Director Cooper told me that this is phase 3 from the invoice.
Version 3,
Version 3, but, I mean, if we can have version 4, that would be even better.
Yeah, trust me, I will say on behalf of David here, he did a heck of a job. On behalf of Dearborn Heights, he pushed every which way he could, and I pushed up to my higher ups to see what we could do. And then the first proposal we went to David with, and now to the third, there was quite the discount there. And I was told directly that this is what we have, this is what we can get down to. They did make it known that this discount is good for 120 days. So they weren't going to honor this one past 120 days. This is quite the lowest point that we can get to. Happy to have conversations, but I can't promise anything further as a discount at this point.
Thank you, Dominic. I don't know if you heard the last question that we asked Director Cooper and Mehdi about if we cut down the training. Do you think that's something possible? If we can have
Yes.
maybe one person from each department, you think we can
Absolutely.
save some money there?
David did a good job. I would present the full cost. On the proposal itself, it says we don't charge for days we don't use. So for example, we are anticipating and we're a lot of on-site time with you guys. So if you guys have people present and we're learning quickly, you use half your days, we're not going to charge you for that full amount of days. So that amount can change. It just won't go higher than what is shown on that proposal. So it can only go down or be met to that total there.
Councilman Kim?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dominic, I have another question. If you get more people signing on, doesn't that reduce the cost to all? Or isn't there some benefit in having, you get the same money, you don't have to keep more?
I guess explain that a little further. Like more people signing on, like more customers going to the
More
cloud.
customers for you should be cheaper price for us.
We still have to store all that information on the different databases through Microsoft Azure on our side. We still set aside specific training, specific to your guys' information and all that. So it's not like we can have your information be the same as City of Dearborn or Canton or all those others that are on the BS&A cloud currently.
Thank you, Dominic. Councilwoman, I don't know, I didn't understand your question. What mean customers
Well,
logging
if
on?
they've got more customers,
Like
they've got more
customers that-
money coming in, therefore, it seems they could make a cut somewhere.
I mean,
You
they're
mean
a
like more
company.
cities signing up, you mean? Like more cities signing up?
Get more people signing up.
That means they've got more work, man.
Yeah, lesser fees for us,
I'm sorry, what's that?
No,
no?
no, they're in business too.
Right now, Lou, I only cared about Wayne County. Right now, there was, almost a dozen and more already going, again, in that director's meeting with it. Literally, guy two down got the contract to sign.
Is there other cities that use different programs, like different than BS?
They do not do everything that BS&A does, because that's, I know that's going to be a potential question.
Okay.
You would have different applications that do not talk to each other like BS&A does. In a sense, BS&A is a sole source. You go on to the BS&A online, you know, and you start typing cities' names in the upper right-hand corner, look at that list. This is what they do.
Council Chair, my follow-up is exactly to that, are there any other competitive programs to BS&A?
Again, not one that does everything BS&A does.
It syncs with
So what other cities uses then?
Microsoft.
Pretty much everyone uses BS&A.
You just said only 12 cities in Wayne County.
Let's say, for example, like, I'm going to excuse you, animal license. Could you get a different application like animal license that is not that doesn't truly need that integration with everything else? Yeah, you could. But can you get something that's going to have the assessing information that would link with building department, that would link with tax? No, you're not going to.
No, I understand, Director, but give me one city that does not use BS&A and whether
A lot of them have their own software. For example, I didn't want to really mention any other cities. Dearborn, they're moving to BS&A Cloud. They had their own proprietary software, did everything. Other cities that don't have their own proprietary software that they wrote themselves, maintained, and now that is so outdated and so hard for them to maintain, they are moving to applications like BS&A. They are moving to BS&A. Dearborn themselves, they're in a major move to BS&A.
Okay. Are you all set with the presentation?
I got to see any more questions. I didn't know if you wanted to.
I mean, I don't know if you're done.
Deferred payments, no interest? No
There is no interest or anything on it. It's the,
Payment due. There's no-
yeah. So again,
So if the payment's due in August, there's no interest if it's paid in August?
correct. It's not like that. We're not borrowing money. It would potentially be, and if this is something that we think we can do, okay? I would look at doing the training payment in this fiscal year and then that new raised cost into the next fiscal year, because we wouldn't go live until the next fiscal year. This would give us an immense amount of time to internally plan, train, and again, be the catalyst to fundamentally change how we operate internally in the city.
Thank you, Director. Definitely, Matt, if you can show us more options, send us whatever you did right now, see if we can maybe
Move around.
different GL accounts, give us different options. I don't want to take anything from the court right now because I think they need that money. Can we move to the residents, if anybody has any questions?
Councilman, I'll add one thing. Is it possible that, have you given them the full list of amendments yet or no?
I did not get the spreadsheet.
Okay.
It's all listed in this.
Yes, so if possible, can you give me some of the GL accounts where you guys are iffy about so I can go ahead and try change those accounts to
I
different?
mean, I need to look at it again, but for now, definitely the court.
When we send you the,
Yeah, send it to me and give me
Yeah,
different
the
options
council.
if you're able to. Like, give me,
Okay.
like, you know what, maybe we can use this instead of that account.
okay, no problem.
Okay.
We'll do that.
So, Tom, I'm sorry, I have an obligation at 6:30.
Okay, sir, thank you very much, Councilman.
Thank you very much.
Please, go ahead. Lisa? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good evening, honorable council members and
evening.
everyone. I just want to say, I wrote a letter of support and had also sent an email. The reason is because I've recently attended the Advanced Treasurers Institute with Michigan municipal treasurers throughout the state. I will tell you, this is one of the hot topics of discussion. The majority, if not all, or not most, but most majority are going to go to BS&A Cloud because they use BS&A. So with that, and knowing that BS&A is going to remove .NET, will not be available, it's going to be cloud. I would encourage you to look at this, consider very carefully, and also take a look at where we're going to pay from. But definitely want you to consider that, because I think it's going to be very important as everybody else, again, like you said, Dearborn, is coming in. They're all talking right now. This was actually a core part of our training back in May. So it's very important. And what I like the best is that it streamlines. It's streamlining the communication between departments, and that is going to save us so much time. And as Marty had mentioned, we can reappropriate our time to other things that are needed for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. I know, but the director didn't say it's going to stop completely. Is there a time frame for them to stop it?
Again, the .NET, they're not making any more improvements to it. It is what it is. They're putting all their effort into the cloud. They're not taking any new clients into the .NET. You know, when that happens, you know, is BSA going to tell us exactly when they're going to stop doing .NET and supporting it or anything? Okay. Right now, no, but we got to know it's very close on the horizon.
Thank you, Director. But I know we mentioned earlier about the grants. See if you can look into it. Maybe Mahdi, maybe Dominic can help you. I don't know if he has any information. Anything from the state would be really great.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Mariana?
Hi. So yes, with regards to the grants, I know that he's looking into it. Wayne Hoffman is also looking at it from Funding Scout. But another thing that I wanted to bring up with regards to this particular software in comparison to others that are out there, it's that this is a need for the city and it affects every single department. So again, as part of the organization, we truly believe that this particular software will impact positively every single department and how they do business for our residents and within their departments. There are other departments that there is better software that utilizes AI and other fancier things, but that it's not a crucial need, right? It's just an extra benefit. In this particular case, it's different. It's a need because, again, the software is going to start becoming worse and worse over time, unfortunately. And it's also going to help us tremendously increase productivity and how we do business with a lot of the complaints that we have consistently been receiving and the requests from directors on how workflows can create better progresses, right? Like if somebody approves something in building, it can immediately go to water, and then from water it can go to the clerk's office, depending on what type of process it is. So we truly believe that there's a benefit in that, and we support that more so than other departments that are requesting individual things for their particular areas. Truly just because this is a comprehensive, all-inclusive, citywide upgrade.
I totally agree. Does the police department use BS&A and anything?
Yes.
Or the fire?
Everybody uses this in one way, whether they're tracking their general ledger, their account numbers and everything.
Even court? Even the court?
Yep. Yep. And this allows us, because moving to cloud-based allows it easier to get it into the hands of more people, okay, departments that can use it, where before I even got here and we didn't have a true networked, you know, amongst our buildings, some departments couldn't even get access to it. Now, again, this helps us better support our staff, to better support our residents.
Thank you, Director. Any more questions from anyone in person?
Quick question, and I don't know if you can answer it or not. I want to know why we as residents...
I'm sorry, Angela, your name and...
Angela Venegas, Dwight Street, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, a.k.a. Mo's favorite redhead. We'll keep going now. But why do we have to pay to look up things on BS&A when a lot of cities don't? And we as taxpayers are already paying for this software, so why do we have to pay to look up other things? Never used to have to before. I can go on my brother's in Green Oaks. I can go there, look up his whole house, do whatever I want, and don't have to pay a dime. And if we're stuck paying for this service, where's that money going? Most municipalities are $1, $2. We're charging $6.25. That's insane. Where's that money go? Yeah. Before, you used to be able to do that all for free, like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm just asking.
So about a year ago when I inquired about this, unless the cities could do that, municipalities could do that in the past. The cities that had that in place were grandfathered into it. So we do have some surrounding cities that were grandfathered in their contract. When I inquired about this, it's probably about a year ago, they no longer offer that for that. Cities that continue to still offer that, they're fronting that cost. Okay, so that actually would raise our BS&A costs, what we already pay them to allow our residents to look up surrounding communities. So when you do an address, okay, and Dominic could potentially speak to that better, but that's how it was, and I was informed when I looked at it.
What if I want to look up something here in Dearborn Heights? Like if I want to see what a house sold for? I can't even do that. Before, you used to be able to do that. You used to be able to do that a year ago, till you guys did some kind of update to our
No,
software.
Angela, he's basically saying if you're not gonna pay for it anymore, these fees were gonna go up. Those invoices will be.
Since I've been here since May 2022,
So basically, you have two options: either have the people pay more money, and we'll have less invoice, or we'll have a bigger invoice and you don't pay.
The information's already there, so I don't know why you're being charged to look up for it when we're paying for it anyway. The info's already
It's-
there.
I can't answer that.
Okay,
That's a BS&A question.
We've got another person.
Hi, Kim
Hi.
Palmer, assessor. This is just about those online fees. So I've been the assessor here since 19, and I started here part-time in 16. And as long as I've been here, people looking up residences or properties that were not their own has always been a charge. I mean, as long as I've worked here, I answer calls because people don't want to pay, so they call me and they just ask me, and then I just give them the info. So, I mean, we give out info, when you come in and things like that, and that is how it has been as long as I have been here. And just to speak on, BS&A was originally created to be an assessing software, so it's kind of always been our baby. I've been using it, .NET, for like 20 years. That's about the state of, they update it with the laws, they make changes, but this is something that was designed 20-something years ago, and you can tell. And I called a ton of assessors that have transferred over, and I got their opinions, and I've done some research, and some of the options that they're telling us that we would be able to do sounds so awesome. So I think it definitely in the assessing department, it would.
Mehdi, look into assessing department, maybe you can take something out of that.
We don't have anything. But yeah, just being able to see changes or permits or things like that right away will make our job so much easier. I spent half my time emailing the other department heads about something I had to do.
Correct,
When
yeah.
they would just be able to see it without me having to spend the extra.
No, I remember sometimes me and you, we had to walk to the building department to look up stuff. No,
Yep.
I understand.
Yeah,
100%.
it'll be great. So thanks.
Thank you. Any more questions from people in person?
Council Chair,
Yes, sir.
what are the chances of, so usually if you go to another city and you want to look up a property that's not your own, you pay $2. What's the likelihood of raising that to like $10 and helping pay off the BS&A?
You won't get anybody to pay it.
You won't get anybody to pay it.
She's already would charge people $6. It's not your property.
question. I can't answer that. We'd have to ask.
That would be a different contract that we have with BS&A.
Different cities charge different fees, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, but it depends on the contract they sign with BS&A.
I always go to Redfin or something and look it up there, but, all
Zillow.
right, thank you.
Please state your name, the street you live on, and the city, please.
Drapkowski, Columbia Street, Dearborn Heights. My question was really, originally was, how many cities or municipalities are using this program, not just in Wayne County? All right. If Wayne County only has 12 or whatever, how many statewide? Can Dominic answer that? And also,
Look, that's actually. No, if you go to BSA online and you start to do a city search, you can actually see.
I think Dominic can. Dominic, go ahead if you have the
Dominic,
answer.
you got the information. It'll be a lot quicker.
Yeah, thank you. We are in 21 different states. We are in every county in Michigan. We have over 600 different customers of our 2,100 currently on or signed with BS&A Cloud. Does that answer your question, Polly?
That's in the state of Michigan?
600 customers signed or live with Cloud are within our 21 states. Over 400 of those are in the state of Michigan.
So 21 in the state of Michigan on cloud, the new software, but they have 600 nationwide.
Nationwide, okay. And then also, how would you help us out with finding grants?
That's not something I've typically done in the past. Doesn't mean I'm not happy to look into things for you guys. I'm working with a different city currently within Wayne County. I shouldn't share their information, I guess, but I can see, because I know they're currently in the grant research part of it, and I can see if I can find anything on your guys' behalf.
Yeah, because if we can get it for free, there's no sense in paying somebody to search for a grant. Because we're dumping a lot of money.
We have 3 months. They're gonna
And
look into some
we're
stuff
bleeding money
before
everywhere,
we vote on this.
So,
Yeah, within this whole transformation, we're really excited to train you guys and get everything more efficient, like Dave did a nice job explaining.
all right, thank you, sir. Have a good night.
This July?
So just so you're aware, 60,000 of the cost, we would need to figure out within the next within a month, actually. So if you don't agree with some of the budget amendments, but you can come up with 60,000 at minimum, that way we can at least pay the initial project management fee, which will allow BS&A to start that process of moving over to the cloud.
No, but Dominic said we have he's gonna, 120 days for that price. He's gonna honor
So if Cooper,
May 30th was the date on there, so the 120 days from there. But again, part of that was the July 60 was roughly $60,000. Again, Dominic has to speak on that if that first payment could be, August, September, the end of that 120 days.
just to confirm that the grant will cover training and implementation, right? Not the project management cost.
What grant are you talking about? I couldn't even answer that question.
Possible,
Again, you have to know the grant to be able to
Yeah.
answer that question.
Okay, so what I was trying to get to is I know you want to get a grant for the BS&A itself. However, the 60,000 would need to be paid within a month or two. From what
I mean, if he's honoring the price for 3 months, he said May 30th is whatever he sent us, so we have till the end of August. So at least he need to give us some time, maybe till the end of August.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's move to Zoom. If any questions on Zoom, Madam Clerk? Please state your name, the street you live on, and the city you live in. You have 2 minutes.
If it's me, it's Renee Myrna, Annapolis, Dearborn Heights.
Yay.
How you
Can you hear
doing?
me?
Yes, please go ahead.
I just have a couple of things that I was noticing. So when you guys were talking about if the internet goes down, what happens? We don't have access to any of it. Then I was thinking, well, what if there's a power outage? So do we just go on the honor system and all the citizens can pay a rough estimate of what they think their water bill is or what they think their taxes would be? Where's there a backup? Is there such a thing as a backup somewhere? A paper backup, a flash drive, something, anything?
Are you all set, ma'am?
No, that was just one thing. I was wondering, I thought he was gonna answer that.
Okay, what's your second question?
Then also, if, let's say we come up with all this money and then we get it, what about if we had to cancel? That means we have to hire a whole new company to start all over from scratch and do it again. So if the fees keep going up and up and up, and there's no guarantee on how much the fees were, but we can kind of get a general idea from, if you backtrack on how much the fees have gone up in years. So that, it's just a consideration that we'd have to hire a whole new company. And then the other thing is, this is just my observation. So if you cut the training and you only have one person, you're only open to that person's interpretation of what they saw or what they said. So if you could cut only one person to do the training as opposed to all departments, but then again, if you're gonna do that, you better really make sure that you have techies in those departments that are gonna understand what that training is and be able to apply it to the, to the software, to the system. So those were just some observations that I had.
Thank you very much. Director, you want to answer those?
Yeah, I'll answer about the backups. They did indicate that they do back up their data, just like any other website or anything. If this building lost power, BS&A Cloud is still active and running.
Correct.
We could go to another building, do a work. You could go anywhere and log into BS&A Cloud, a staff member, and get your work done. If this building blows up right now, we have our BS&A server, but I do back up the data offsite. They follow the NIST security protocols, and they're doing the exact same thing. So our data is safe, and with all of it. So
Yeah, Director, but she brought a good question about the contract. I mean, we need to see exactly what's, every year how much is going to go up and stuff like this. Maybe if Dominic can give you an idea.
I always do, like, I always estimate when I do my budget for the next year, between 2 to 5%.
Okay.
10% on the high end, but he can definitely.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah, we follow the state of Michigan, the CPI compliance with them. We don't charge our own upsell on that necessarily. We go with the state of Michigan for different inflation rates and all that. So 2 years ago, I believe there was no increase. Last year was like a 3.1% increase. I can get you an average over the last 5 years, but we honor what the state of Michigan does in regards to their increases.
Yeah, please, if you can send it to the director, he can pass it to us. But is it usually, Dominic, is it only 1 year contract with you guys? Or do you guys sign for more than 1 year?
We've signed longer contracts, but we default to a 1 year unless it's negotiated otherwise.
Has more benefit to us if we sign for more than 1 year?
There's different fine lines. I'm not sure how into the weeds we want to go. I can get that information to you though if it's something.
Please, yeah, if you can. Did you answer all her question? Or we missed one?
I just have, yeah, that's pretty much, the only thing I would like to ask is if we did sign up and we were running it maybe for a couple of years, if we were to cancel, is there some kind of a cancellation fee?
Like a penalty? I mean,
Typically, it's part of, that's what a contract is. You finish up that 1 year and would have to move. But
it's not easy to move from the software
this would be an if you think that this is expensive and what this undertaking will potentially take, that would be going to a whole different system.
But that's probably not gonna happen. BS&A's been around for what, 25 years?
Easy.
Longer. I will say there is no other software that is compliant with state regulations for the assessing office. So when .NET kaputs, I have to go to cloud. So as the assessor's office, this is an expense that will come one way or the other. We will have to go to BS&A cloud because BS&A is the only state-approved thing that I can use to do my job. It meets all of the requirements that the state requires, and that is what every assessor in the entire state uses. There are no other options for me. So I don't know about any other department, but I can say for assessing, we have to have.
So basically, you're saying every city's assessor is
Yes.
using BS&A for the
Yes.
assessment department at least?
Well, they haven't, if they haven't moved yet, they use .NET. So like they are using BS&A as a company. There is no other options. So when they're saying they'll eventually stop working on .NET, then I will be trapped with there until we move to cloud.
Okay.
Because I have to move, I'll have to move eventually, as far as I know.
Thank you, Kim.
Council Chair?
Yep.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
What are the chances, so we used to have a joint IT agreement with Dearborn. So we shared one IT department of doing something jointly with them. Probably that's not an option with the company because every city would do that.
We're a different city. We're a separate contract with BS&I.
It's like lawyers. Lawyers used to, one guy would get it and they figured they prevented that from happening any further.
All right, I think that
I just
concludes.
have to say that it sounds like that the girl that works in the assessor's department, we need to hold on to her so she can teach the rest of us all that.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Plan to.
I guess this is conclude our study session for this evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dominic. Director, if you can get those information from Dominic, Mehdi, if we can work on our budget more and maybe try to get the money somehow, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much and have a nice evening, everyone.